Hey guys, welcome to another video. Happy New Year and cheers to another one filled with new leaves and no pests. Well, hopefully anyway. Join me today as I refresh my space and get everything organized and clean for the year ahead. Well, who am I kidding? It's definitely not going to last all year. It'll probably last 1 week, the way I operate with my plant chores. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys my different soil mixes, my different pest treatments, and maybe a couple extra things in between. We'll just see how things go as the day progresses. But basically, it's a plant chores video ahead. I have a bunch of new products to pack away and organize. I have new soil mixes to mix. I have a bunch of containers to clean. I'm hoping to get some repotting in as well. Of course, there's never a dull moment. Anytime I get into the garden, this is a ripped off bunch of string of hearts. I'm not sure if I'm going to toss that or pot it. But stick around, let's see where the day takes us. Take a look at my storeroom. I have been just hoarding inside of here, starting with a bunch of boxes in preparation to move my plants down to my forever home. I have also stashed a bunch of new products that I got from either Amazon or Growrite, or I'll link everything in the description below. And if I have a discount or coupon code, it'll be there as well. So be sure to check that out. I'm going to unpack all of these products and sort them into their relevant spaces or homes. And here is that stash of containers that I was saying I have to clean out and sanitize. And this is my lovely potting station in all its glory, the hot mess that it is in since last year. Probably 2 weeks ago, I haven't been here in a while, and it just stayed like this. Unfortunately, I'm not ashamed because I know how much time and energy I have been spending in preparing the new space for my plants. So it is what it is. Of course, I ditched that view as fast as I could, just to procrastinate a little more. As I saw my begonia Sinbad leaning, I just wanted to stake it really quickly, and it has been thriving, I must say, since I started this method of only potting up like halfway or so. I'll link that video where I described how I started potting my begonia because I've been having so much success with it. I also did a plant accessories video, stuff that I got from Amazon, and just in general, that I will also link below in case you're wondering where I got that steak. It was from Amazon. But of course, I had to come see my plants live and direct before I get into all that dirty stuff. While browsing around, and I think this was around the time where I posted my favorites video for 2024, I found that my Bull Marks Fantasy was basically rotted at the base, or maybe a snail ate off the lower stem and it was just hanging on to the pole alone. So I ended up chopping and propping and turning the lower leafless part into a wet stick propagation that I'm setting up here in this glass dome that I got from Fair and Square. I think it was like $65, but unfortunately I had to chop my Blue Max Fantasy. I had to top up my on-the-go or day-to-day pest solution. This solution I have been using for over 7 years now to spot clean or spot treat leaves that I can immediately see pests on. It kills on contact and it has never failed me yet. Basically, it's like maybe 1/3 of the bottle I fill with rubbing alcohol, either the 75% or 99%. It really doesn't make a difference. Well, I found anyway. So I fill it 1/3 of the way in that Dasani water bottle, and I add 1 teaspoon of dish soap, just general dish soap, and I fill the rest with water. I give it a good shake lastly, and I just use a regular kitchen sponge to clean the leaves or a paper towel, but I prefer use the sponge. I prefer use the sponge not only because it's less waste generating as opposed to using paper towels, but because I find it holds the solution a lot better and it's somewhat easier to wipe the leaves down better as it's more sturdy. It doesn't like puncture as opposed to the paper towels as well. You're seeing me here reusing my soil. So I really don't have an issue reusing soil. What I do is I leave out the old soil. I mean, even if plants have died in it, I leave out the old soil to bake in the sun just until it turns that gray color where it really has been toasted. And I just mix that into a general mix to use for plants like Sansevieria that don't care. My base soil is actually a premium aroid mix that I buy from Utopia. It is quite expensive, so I'm not going to be wasteful with that either. So I have no problems reusing it because I know baking it in the sun actually kills a bunch of bacteria as well as any organic matter that can promote rotting. So I reuse my soil nevertheless. Anyway, this is a stash of new products that I'm going to use to mix fresh mixes. I have to top up my anthurium mix and just my general soil bins. So this is a whole lot to go through, but we're going to start with the tree fern. I feel like this substrate or this material is magical when it comes to anthuriums. The reviews are crazy. I'm going to link a couple of videos for you guys to see the uses of it and the results of using it in the description. So you would have seen me shredding the tree fern. It came in those large mats, so it needs to be shredded to be able to evenly mix into the general soil mix that I use for my anthuriums. This is another product that I swear by for anthuriums. This is the fine green orchiada bark. I actually also use this and the tree fern for my monsteras just to create a little more aeration in the soil mix, but anthuriums basically have been performing for me since I have been adding these two products as well as this activated charcoal or horticultural charcoal to the premium aroid mix, and most recently this biochar, which is made of rice hull that I got from Growrite. I haven't used it before, so I don't really have any reviews on it, but I would love to hear if you guys have used it. So basically, this is what my Anthurium mix is going to look like for 2025. I'm just giving it a good mix to ensure that all the products are evenly distributed to guarantee good aeration once I pot up my Anthuriums. I'll probably do an update video to show progress for the anthuriums that I did pot in this mix, so you can look out for that. But basically, once that's done, I add it to a storage container so I could just easily grab and go on potting days. This just stores right back into my potting station alongside all my other pre-mixed mixes, just for ease of potting on that day. Now I'm just going to fill back my general potting bin with the premium aroid mix. One bag of the Utopia mix fits perfectly in my 16 by 9 plastic container, and I just do the same for my moss. That's in a smaller container though, because that's less bulky. And I use this plastic container for the remnants of my perlite. I have both the coarse grain and fine grain. And I'm just going to add the balance of my unused tree fern into this container just to protect it from the elements and just any pests or bugs getting in there. I like to secure my potting medium just to make sure it's in top quality condition for once I start mixing. I try to reuse any boxes that I have if I don't have containers just to organize all my amendments. That box was able to fit a bunch of my lecker, my extra bags of orchid bark, the biochar. The open ones I keep to the front for easy access and the new bags to the back. And I will just reuse a smaller box here for this tight space for my remaining amendments. That'll be this unopened bag of Hoya mix that I'm yet to try out from the succulent sauce. If you have tried it, I would love to hear your reviews. It's the first time for me using an actual soil mix for Hoyas as opposed to Le Shoes Upon. And I'll also include my horticultural charcoal in this smaller box just to keep everything nice and contained and neat. I'm going to start wiping down my surfaces now just to sanitize and tidy my potting table to ensure I have maximum space just for comfortable potting and room to put any tools that I may need. I love using a microfiber cloth both in the wet and dry application. So this is one of my potting tables that I use as storage sometimes if I'm not potting, and I'm going to start tackling these new products to get them into a location that is accessible but also tidy and can keep everything compact to ensure that I have maximum space for storage. So this basket I usually keep on the surface of my potting station. So again, I could just grab and apply as needed. Just in case you're curious about all my go-to products that I use in the hobby on a regular basis, I do have a dedicated video in my playlist that you could check out for links to those products or just to get a closer look of the products themselves and how I use them. So I'll link that video down in the description as well. So these are my clay pots that I swear by. I just kind of stack them in order of size, and I use this old, I believe it was a office shelving unit that I just kind of took one shelf out and repurposed it. I also stack these bigger pots according to size just for compact storage. And they go right below that drawer. And finally, everything is in order, and we can actually probably get into either prop and chop or repotting. I'll see what needs trimming and what can do with a repot. So now I feel really ready to rock and ready to roll, especially in this new year 2025. Okay, so now that my potting station is ready and everything is organized, let's just take a quick walk through the garden and see what's happening in terms of what needs to be done. Of course, I got distracted by the newest leaf on my Florida Ghost. It really has been pushing super, super good variegation since I moved it to this spot. I was doing some research that indicated putting it in a warmer spot, so I have it receiving some direct light and a little lower humidity as the spot is warmer, and I found variegation started coming in more abundantly. I decided to take a couple propagations. So I took about 4 cuttings and I've just set it up to root in water. And I'll keep you guys posted in an update video. I just wanted to show you guys quickly how I make my cuts. So basically I give myself double the chance by having 2 nodes in one cutting. Sometimes I do single node, but a double node really does double your chances of a successful propagation. So the first node you're seeing here has an aerial root already protruding, and the top one has the leaf protruding. So it has 2 growing eyes that you would have seen me pointed out. So to me, that's a highly successful cutting that I took there. As I continued my inspections, I pulled out these anthuriums to be dealt with. I've got this anthurium no ID on the left, these anthurium vitrifolium hybrids. I'm not sure what they crossed with. It was self-pollinated. And I have my luxuriance platinum and my luxuriance dark form, as well as anthurium magnificum to get through. All of these have to be inspected. They look quite sad. I am sure this Aglionema has root rot. My Cryptospuma johnstonii needs a repot, and I pulled out these alocasias to possibly be uppotted. And well, this is what the pile continues to look like as I continue my inspections. There is a lot of work to be done. A lot of these have to be repotted or just completely I don't even know. I have to like go through each one properly. I kind of just pull out the sad looking ones. So as we go through each one, I will know what course of action to take. These Hoyas look like decimated. And well, my jungle cactus has some yellowing. This is a basin of vines that I've pruned back on my Syndapsis silver lady, my micans, as well as my Syndapsis silvery Ann. And I'm gonna chop and prop these and get some fuller baskets going to grow out some plugs to fill out the mother plant. I took single node cuttings here, just about an inch on either side of the node, and I'm just gonna water prop these. This is one of the cuttings of many from my Mycon's mother plant. I find it was just too sparse on the top, so I'm gonna prop these and try and fill out and probably make some additional plants as well. These are the couple vines I took off of my Syndapsis Silver Lady. It really is such a beautiful plant. If you're into Syndapsis, the variegation is super silver, and as the leaves mature, they darken and could possibly double in size compared to what you see here. I got a handful of cuttings that I'm just going to put in my prop box and use lacquer to the bottom. I cover the lacquer in water and I just put it into a humidity dome. I get the humidity domes from Growrite. This is it covered. I would say the chamber has about 85% humidity because I do keep the top vents open for sufficient air exchange. This is my reverted Brazil. I'm hoping to bring the variegation back. So I took the reverted vine and I'll probably get a handful of cuttings here as well that I'll just prop in water as I did the micans. If you're wondering why I'm not using my well-prepared, clean potting station, it's because on that side the sun was out and it was blistering, so I ended up using this area, which is a lot cooler. I just did the same here for my Syndapsis silvery Ann. I just took some single node cuttings and bunched them together. I ended up finding another philodendron Brazil, a reverted vine, so I just again chopped and propped and will create hopefully some new variegated pots there. Because I had so many Synapsis silvery and cuttings, I decided to prop those separately and give it its own dedicated growing zone. So I did take single node cuttings here. I like to do single node cuttings because I find if I put at least 6 to 10 cuttings in a pot together, I get really nice full bushy plants because each cutting has the potential to grow into its own vine, and that speeds up the process of establishing a really bushy vining, long vining plant, I should say. This went into the same humidity dome as the Synapsis silvery and the Micans went in there as well, and the reverted Brazil. So those will probably stay in there, I would say, for a month before I pot them up. In general, I maintain at least 1 inch of water in this tray. That comes up to about 1 liter of water in total. So once I cover it, it does maintain at least 80 to 85% humidity in there. And I try to refresh this tray once I see any green powdery mildew. So the water in there is always clean or as clean as I could keep it. Here are, I would say, over a dozen Syndapsis platinum plants that I have grown via that method of taking single node cuttings and potting a bunch together. In this case, I didn't have as much cutting, so I only did 3 per pot, but it has served me well. It always works for me, so I continue to do it. In the plant chores video I published in December, I would have explained that an iguana was chomping away happily on my Aglionema pictum tricolor. This is what it used to look like here. And in that video, I took one cutting. I just took the top cut and it started shooting here, as you can see. And while in this plant show session, I decided to just take the tops off of all 3 plants that were growing and try and reroot it because it really was not coming back. And just to give myself a backup, I decided to just cut the rest off, and I'm putting it to prop with my Florida Ghost props just in water. And I'm hoping for the best here to possibly get 3 plants growing and have the mother plant reshoot. But as you can see, it really was down to no leaves, so I'm hoping here. Also, in that December plant chores video, I would have potted up these Syngonium batik cuttings, and the variegation is coming in absolutely stunning on those new plants, and I just want to add these extra cuttings to it. They are well rooted now. Secondary roots are visible, so my plan is just to add it to this pot to continue to create a fuller pot. You can see the length of the roots here. I'm just using my corer to bake a hole, and the plan is just to insert that cutting without damaging the roots too much, and hopefully get a fuller pot going. I kind of just wrap the roots around the main stem and I will top that up with some soil. As you see shortly, the roots really are super long. I use Super Thrive, by the way. I don't know if you noticed, but I didn't focus too much on getting the roots all the way down to the bottom of the pot. That ensures that they aren't damaged too much from just being inserted. I just got it deep enough to be able to top it off with soil. As you see here, this is the Utopia Premium Aroid Mix unamended, and that's it for this one. I'm hoping it really bushes out. It's about 3 cuttings in there, and I have an extra one that still needs rooting. Let's get into this floppy, sad guy. As I suspected, it has root rot. This plant actually just broke off from the base, totally rotted off. It is a sterling silver aglaonema, by the way. The leaf curl alone told me that it had root rot. That is a telltale sign that the plant is not being hydrated properly. So I am going to completely uppot this. I love using Velcro ties, by the way, just because they're reusable and they really get the job done in terms of securing the plant to anything. Here's another plant that is completely rotted at the base. So what I'm going to do is just remove the rotted portions. I'm going to cut back these stems until I see healthy plant tissue. Healthy plant tissue looks like that, white, not brown. At this point, I'm just going to put the cuttings in water now to try and reroot it. The water line is way too high for my liking here. It was covering the base of some of the foliage, so I'm going to remove some. It's still too high here. My rule of thumb is to have at least 3 nodes or 2 to 3 nodes submerged in water alone. To me, this prevents rotting or any further rotting. My Maranta lemon lime needs a facelift. It also needs topping up with soil, so I'm just going to clean it up a bit, as you can see here, removing all the dead plant matter. And I'm going to add these rooted cuttings into the mother pot just to continue to fill it out. I actually had 2 cuttings in there that are well rooted and ready to be potted. So I'm just going to insert them shortly. I grabbed my Cora. This is the same one I used for my Syngonium batik. I found a clear spot in the pot to fit both of them, so I made 2 holes and I'm going to insert each cutting one at a time. As you see here, these roots are really fine. They also already have secondary roots, so I want to be really careful upon inserting. So I'm not going to try and go too deep because I do have to backfill this pot. So I know it will stabilize once I backfill it like this. So they are now neatly tucked in, both of them, and backfilled. So I'm just going to do a final check for pests, make sure all the stems are covered in soil now, and this is the final look. So this is my Philodendron Brantianum. The iguana was also going at it with this one. It is just not looking presentable to me anymore. It has a lot of leaf damage, a lot of stem damage. So I'm going to take these props. This is why I always chop and prop, or I always have props going, so that in the event that something like this happens, I could just have some plugs ready to go to fill any voids in my mother plant. So I cleared a space large enough to hopefully fit that entire pot of props. So I'm just offering it up here to gauge the size. I took the entire pot of cuttings out and I'm just going to place it in there and fix to suit, ensuring that all the roots are covered properly. So after securing the props into the mother plant, ensuring all the leaves are above the soil and all the roots are properly covered, I decided that I was going to pin down some vines to hopefully get some additional nodes from an existing vine going. Hopefully, once those root, other vines will push out from those nodes. So I am going to detangle The longest vines that I have are the ones that can wrap the easiest and use some paper clips that I converted into pins to pin down these vines as securely as I can to hopefully restore the beauty of this plant. It really was gorgeous before it was attacked. I'm going to just make sure none of the leaves got tucked while I was wrapping. This is what it looks like now, having gotten a facelift. So the top is now full again, and I gave the vines a little prune. It still looks sparse, but I'm hoping the new growth will come in soon and fill out the vining space. But it's better, definitely better than what it looked like before in my mind. Up next is my stash of anthuriums. I'm going to start with my anthurium no ID. I think I mentioned previously that I bought that one thinking it was a king of spades, but it wasn't. This is my platinum, and this is my anthurium magnificum. That's my Dressleri that I am so desperately trying to bring back, but it's got some green powdery mildew on it, so things are looking rough. I'm going to have to treat this with some copper fungicide from Captain Jack's. That's sitting right there on my left. That really has worked time and time again for me in terms of treating green powdery mildew. I'm going to just get this one out of the way quickly as it's just a quick spray that's required to get this done. I'm going to tackle my Anthurium no ID next. This one is super gorgeous, very sparkling with red veins. It does have a new leaf emerging, so I'm not going to uppot it or mess with the roots too much. I could probably backfill it. I'm going to remove the moss to see if any new roots have grown. I swear by topping my anthuriums with moss. This advice was given to me in the beginning of the hobby, and it always proves to be successful in terms of rooting stems in anthurium and maintaining humidity. As you can see here, I've got a bunch of new roots, so I'm probably just going to backfill this and put it back, especially as it has a new leaf coming. This is some leftover anthurium mix that I had. It's not the one with the rice hull. I'm just going to use this mix out just so that I can do a dedicated video on the anthuriums that have the rice hull in their mix. Once I finished backfilling it, I topped it off with moss again to continue rooting the stem in the future. This is a closer look of that new leaf that comes in super red every time. My Anthurium luxurians and the platinum just needed watering, so I just put them one side to be watered later. And this one that I thought was my Anthurium magnificum, it actually turns out to be a hybrid. It's my Anthurium magnificum by crystallinum. I got this one from Sierra, I believe, from Best Buds. I'll confirm and I'll put the information in the description. But this one has some new roots emerging that I want to get covered. I want to clean it up a little bit, look and see if there's any new roots. Clearly there are new roots, so I'm going to backfill this one. Actually, on closer look, I think I'm going to give it a bigger pot because it has sized up a lot. So I'm going to just give it a tiny upsize. Because I want to submerge as much of the new roots as possible on the upper part of the stem, I removed some of the soil on the bottom of the plant to ensure that it can fit in the pot of my choice. So I'm just offering it up here just to have an idea of how much of the roots can fit in there as well as how much growing room it has. And I think I'm just going to fill it to cover the mature roots, and I'm going to leave those two that are now emerging to just be covered in moss to continue to root out. And as they extend or they start to emerge from the pot, I'll just repeat the process again and upsize the plant itself. So this one is ready to be watered, so I'm just going to add it to the pile. Next up, I want to deal with my Anthurium vitrifolium hybrids. These were grown from seed. The mother plant was self-pollinated, and they have been growing pretty well, but they have outgrown this glass chamber. So I think I'm going to add it to another prop box that I have other seedlings growing in just to give it some more room. Some of them have multiple leaves already, as you can see there, and I just want to make sure it has enough room to grow. So I'm going to add it to this prop box that only has a couple seedlings in there. These are Ace of Spades hybrids, again of unknown parentage because I actually received this mother plant pollinated. So I'm just going to place it as it is in here to give it some more height to grow and room in general while maintaining a high humidity in that container. I'm just going to clean up the cover a bit. As you can see, there's a bunch of soil and who knows what else on top of that. So I'm just going to hose it down and give it a quick clean up just to ensure that the seedlings are not contaminated in any way. I'm going to just secure it again, clamping it on both sides. I will put the information as to where I got these and the price in the description so you can look out for that. And I'm going to put it into a spot that receives east-facing light on the shelf alongside the rest of my anthurium seedlings that I'm growing out. They do pretty well in this spot. This is my larger prop box, and this is another one that I have going on top. This contains my Brielle by Crystallinum hybrids. Okay, so at this point, I am at the halfway mark in terms of dealing with all the plants that I pulled out. So I'm thinking to stop this video and create a part one, and next week I will release the part two of this plant chores video that will feature the alocasias and Hoyas that I left out and anything else in between. I don't want the video to get too long. Also, in the part two of this plant chores video, I will give you guys some exciting updates with respect to the greenhouse. I have started moving some plants over. It's not my favorites, but some of them really are unicorn plants or actually the troublesome ones, just so that I could finally keep a closer eye on those and ensure that they remain healthy. So you guys will get a nice preview of probably 100 or more. So it'll be an exciting reveal. So that's it for this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next.